Falling in love, few experiences shape us so completely. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't follow logic. It arrives suddenly, rewriting the way we see the world. Across centuries, poets have sung of it, philosophers have tried to define it, and psychologists have traced its patterns. Yet, no matter how carefully we study it, love escapes the net of definition. It is always more than words can hold. To fall in love is to feel many things at once. A spark of attraction, the fascination of a curious mind, the comfort of being understood, the awe of something larger than ourselves. As if the universe itself whispered, "This is where you belong." People describe it as magic, as destiny, as a force that seizes the heart without warning. We speak of butterflies in the stomach, of time moving differently, of a sudden rush of joy that feels almost cosmic. But if we look closely, falling in love is not only magic, it is a meeting of energies, our emotional readiness, our values and our wounds, our longing for connection and our need to be seen. All of these converge in a single, breathtaking moment, and suddenly a stranger becomes unforgettable. In this way, love is both surrender and revelation. We step beyond self-protection. We allow vulnerability. And for a moment, we see ourselves not just as individuals, but as part of something shared, something transcendent. Pause. Gentle music shift. This is why falling in love has always fascinated us. It is not just about desire, nor just about companionship. It is a mirror, reflecting back the parts of ourselves we didn't even know were waiting to be discovered. Why are we drawn to certain people, and not to others? Why does one smile feel ordinary while another changes everything? Psychology suggests that attraction is not random. Often, it is the mind searching for something familiar, or something missing. We are shaped by our earliest bonds. The way we were held, the way we were heard, the way love was given or withheld. These imprints linger deep within us. And when we meet someone new, our unconscious recognizes patterns. Sometimes it feels like destiny, when in truth, it is memory, reaching for what it knows. For some, this leads to safety. They are drawn to partners who echo the warmth and trust they once received. For others, it means repeating painful cycles, chasing the love they never had, hoping this time it will heal. This is why falling in love feels both exhilarating and familiar. Why we sometimes say, "I feel like I've known you forever." Because, in a sense, we have. The bond mirrors something long embedded in our story, but love is not only a reflection of the past, it is also a reaching toward the future. We are fascinated by qualities we admire, yet struggle to find in ourselves. Their courage, their gentleness, their way of seeing the world. They become a living reminder of what we long to grow into. This is why love feels like expansion. It doesn't just satisfy a need, it awakens possibility. It whispers, "You can become more." And yet, within this beauty lies a paradox. When we fall in love, we are not simply meeting another person. We are meeting our own hidden depths. The other becomes both partner and mirror, reflecting back our strengths, our wounds, and our unfinished stories. To fall in love, then, is to be invited into transformation. Not just to hold another's hand, but to finally face what lives inside our own heart. Long before psychology gave us language for attachment, philosophers were already asking, what is love? Plato imagined love as a ladder. At the bottom rung, there is desire, the spark of physical attraction. But he believed love could climb higher. From fascination with the body, to admiration of the soul, and eventually, to the contemplation of beauty itself. Something eternal, beyond any one person. For Plato, love was not just romance. It was a path to the divine, Aristotle offered a different vision. He spoke of friendship as the highest form of love, not built on pleasure, not on usefulness, but on goodness. To love someone, he said, is to will their flourishing, to rejoice in their growth. True love, then, is ethical. It challenges us to be better, not only for ourselves, but for each other. Centuries later, other voices wrestled with love's paradox. The German thinker Schopenhauer saw it as the will of life itself, a cosmic force driving us to continue through creation. Kierkegaard, the existentialist, reflected on love as both a gift and a leap of faith, a devotion that asks us to surrender certainty. And Jean-Paul Sartre, often cynical, warned that love can trap us between freedom and desire, wanting to be cherished as unique, yet fearing we will be reduced to an object. Across ages and cultures, the answers differ, but the questions remain. Why do we love? What does it mean to be bound to another? And how do we reconcile love's beauty with its pain? When we practice patience, we learn to see love not as a race to be won, but as a garden to be tended. We water it with care, we protect it with boundaries, we allow it to breathe. And in that waiting, something sacred happens. We discover that love is not only about finding the right person, it is about becoming the right person. For the truest love is not seized in haste. It is revealed in time. Falling in love is often the easy part. Staying in love, that is the true art. At first, passion burns brightly. Every glance feels electric. Every word feels profound. But like a flame, passion alone cannot sustain itself. Without care, it flickers. Without tending, it fades. To sustain love over time, we must learn to shift from intensity to intimacy, from the fire of beginnings to the warmth of companionship. Psychologists describe this as the transition from romantic love to companionate love. It is not a loss, but an evolution. Where once there were sparks, now there is trust. Where once there was infatuation, now there is depth. And this depth, though quieter, is what allows love to endure. Sustaining love requires attention. Small gestures, repeated often. A listening ear, even when the story has been told before. A kind word when silence would be easier. It is not grand declarations, but the daily practice of showing up. It also requires resilience. Two lives will never perfectly align. There will be seasons of misunderstanding, moments of distance, even storms that threaten to tear the bond apart. But those who endure learn that conflict is not the end of love. It is the workshop where love matures. For it is not agreement that binds us together, but the commitment to return to one another, even when it is difficult. True love is less about avoiding change and more about growing alongside it. To witness each other's transformation without fear. To allow the relationship to be alive, shifting, expanding, deepening with time. And perhaps most importantly, sustaining love means choosing it again and again. Not because we must, not because we fear being alone, but because each day, in the quiet of the heart, we decide, with you, I still choose to walk. For in the end, enduring love is not found in the spark that begins it, but in the steady flame that carries it through the years. Love binds us, but it must also set us free. Too much closeness can suffocate. Too much distance can fracture. The art of love lies in weaving togetherness with freedom, connection without possession. Psychologists call this the dance of autonomy and intimacy. When it flows well, two people move gracefully, each step honoring both the bond and the self. But when fear enters, fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of being unseen, the dance falters. One may cling too tightly. The other may pull too far away. The healthiest love is not about merging into one, but about walking side by side. two whole beings choosing to share a path. It is about saying, I love you not because you complete me, but because with you, I am free to be more of myself. Philosophers, too, have reflected on this balance. The poet Khalil Gibran wrote, "Let there be spaces in your togetherness, for the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow." Love, to him, was not fusion, but harmony. Two notes that retain their individuality, yet create music together. This balance requires trust. Trust that absence does not mean neglect. Trust that independence does not mean indifference. Trust that love can breathe and still endure. And in this balance, love becomes expansive. It does not diminish who we are. It allows us to grow, both apart and together. Like two stars, distinct yet bound by gravity, shining brighter not in spite of each other, but because of each other. To love, then, is to give both presence and space. It is to say, I am with you, but I do not need to hold you captive to know you are mine. For true love is not a cage. It is a garden, wide enough for two souls to flourish freely, yet rooted in the same soil of devotion. Every love we experience reflects us back to ourselves. The way we love reveals our deepest truths, our hopes, our wounds, our unspoken fears, even our capacity for forgiveness. Psychologists remind us that relationships act as mirrors. When we are secure, we reflect trust. When we are afraid, we reflect jealousy. When we are unhealed, we project our pain onto the ones closest to us. This is why love feels so powerful. It does not only reveal the other, it reveals us. Through the presence of another soul, we confront parts of ourselves we may have hidden. Our impatience, our tenderness, our longing to be understood, and sometimes our inability to understand ourselves. Carl Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." In this way, every love story is also a story of transformation. We do not leave love the same person we entered it as. We are stretched, reshaped, sometimes broken, and always, in some way, remade. But the mirror of love is not only for exposing our shadows, it is also for showing us our light. Through another's eyes, we may see beauty we had forgotten. Through another's care, we may feel worthy in ways we once doubted. Through another's faith, we may learn to believe in ourselves again. And so, love is both a challenge and a gift. It demands honesty, it demands humility, but it also offers revelation. For when someone truly sees us, we are reminded that we are more than our scars, more than our mistakes. We are beings capable of giving and receiving infinite love. Perhaps this is why love is so often described as sacred. Not because it is flawless, but because it reflects us back to ourselves and asks, who will you become in the presence of love? Love is not confined to one culture, one language, or one era. It is the most universal of human experiences, and yet the most uniquely personal. Across ancient temples and modern cities, across whispered prayers and wedding vows, love has always been the same thread weaving humanity together. It is written in poetry on papyrus scrolls, carved into stone walls, sung in lullabies passed from mother to child. The Greeks gave us words to describe its many forms: eros, passion and desire; philia, the bond of friendship; agape, unconditional love for all humanity; storge, the love of family. Each expression reminding us that love is not one thing, but a constellation of experiences, each vital in its own way. In India, love has been celebrated as devotion, bhakti, a surrender of the heart to something greater than oneself. In Japan, koi no yokan describes the mysterious sense that you will inevitably fall in love with someone you've just met. In every language, there are words that capture love's many shades, proof that no single definition can contain it. Psychologists, too, see love as a universal need. Attachment theory shows us that humans are wired from birth to seek connection. The infant reaching for the mother's touch, the adult longing for companionship, the elder cherishing the bonds that remain. And yet, for all its universality, love feels deeply personal. Your love is unlike anyone else's. Your story carries its own texture, its own scars, its own triumphs. And still, it belongs to the same great river of human experience. Perhaps this is why love stories, no matter where they are told, resonate with us all. Whether in a Greek tragedy, a Persian poem, a Shakespearean sonnet, or a modern film, we recognize ourselves in them. We see our own hearts reflected in the struggles and joys of others. Love is universal not because it is identical everywhere, but because it is essential everywhere. It is the language that requires no translation, the force that survives the rise and fall of empires, the passing of centuries, the distance between cultures. To love is to belong, not just to another person, but to humanity itself. Every love story exists within the boundary of time. We are born, we live, and eventually we leave. And so does everyone we hold dear. To love deeply is to know that one day we will face loss. Every embrace carries within it the echo of goodbye. Every laugh, every kiss, every shared silence, fragile, fleeting, unrepeatable. This truth might seem heavy, but it is also what makes love so precious. If we were immortal, if time were endless, perhaps love would lose its urgency. But because our days are numbered, every moment matters. Mortality sharpens love into meaning. Philosophers have long wrestled with this paradox. The Stoics taught that we should love fully, but without clinging, to hold what we cherish with gratitude, knowing it is on loan from life itself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Every love story exists within the boundary of time. We are born, we live, and eventually we leave. And so does everyone we hold dear. To love deeply is to know that one day we will face loss. Every embrace carries within it the echo of goodbye. Every laugh, every kiss, every shared silence. Fragile, fleeting, unrepeatable. This truth might seem heavy, but it is also what makes love so precious. If we were immortal, if time were endless, perhaps love would lose its urgency. But because our days are numbered, every moment matters. Mortality sharpens love into meaning. Philosophers have long wrestled with this paradox. The Stoics taught that we should love fully, but without clinging. To hold what we cherish with gratitude, knowing it is on loan from life itself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Psychologists remind us that awareness of mortality often deepens intimacy. Couples facing illness, families touched by loss, friends nearing the end of their lives, they often speak of a clarity that comes when time feels short. The petty arguments fall away. The unspoken words rise to the surface. What remains is love, raw, stripped of distraction, luminous in its simplicity. And yet, even in death, love does not vanish. It transforms. We carry it in memory, in the lessons we've learned, in the ways we are changed by those who touched our lives. The body may fall silent, but the imprint of love endures. In the laughter we recall, the values we uphold, the tenderness we pass on to others. To love, then, is not to escape mortality, it is to transcend it. For though we cannot stop time, love allows us to leave behind something timeless, a ripple that continues in the lives we've touched, the kindness we've given, the hearts we've opened. Perhaps this is why, in the face of death, love becomes our greatest act of defiance. It says, "Though I will not last forever, the love I give will outlive me." Love begins as a spark between two hearts, but its reach goes far beyond us. At first, we think of love as personal, our partner, our family, our circle of friends. But as it deepens, love expands. It teaches us to see beyond the self, to care not only for one, but for many, to recognize our shared humanity, and to honor the sacred thread that binds all life together. The Stoics believed that love was not just a private emotion, but a universal duty. To them, to love was to live in harmony with nature, with others, with the greater whole. It was a practice of belonging. Psychologists echo this truth. When we love deeply, our sense of self grows wider. We feel less isolated, less divided. Our hearts stretch until they hold not just the one we cherish, but the world itself. And in this way, love transcends time and space. It becomes more than romance, more than attachment. It becomes a force of compassion, a bridge across differences, a light against despair. We may never fully understand love. It resists definition. It slips through categories. It evolves as we evolve. But perhaps that is the point. For love is not meant to be contained. It is meant to be lived. And when we give it freely, we taste something eternal, a glimpse of the infinite within the fragile, a spark of the divine within the ordinary. So let us love, bravely, patiently, truthfully. Let us hold close those who matter, and let us release them with grace when the time comes. Let us open our hearts, again and again, even when it hurts, even when it scares us. For in the end, love is the only thing we take with us, and the only thing we leave behind. It is our echo through time, our proof that we lived, our transcendence. Perhaps philosophy reminds us of this. Love is never simple. It is not just emotion. It is a way of seeing, a way of living, a way of asking who we are when faced with the presence of another soul. Pause. Gentle swell of music. Through all of these reflections, one truth echoes again and again. Love is bigger than us. It calls us upward. It reshapes us. And in its presence, we are always asked to become more than we were before we can truly love another. We must learn how to love ourselves. This does not mean vanity. It does not mean selfishness. It means recognizing our own worth, even when no one else is watching. It means knowing that we are enough, even when life feels empty. The writer Bell Hooks once said, "To truly give love, we must first cultivate it within." And Erich Fromm, the great psychoanalyst, believed love was not simply a feeling, but a skill, something to be practiced like art. Just as an artist trains their hand or a musician trains their ear, the heart too must be trained in awareness, patience, and care. When we lack self-love, something dangerous happens. We begin to seek from others what we have denied ourselves. Their attention becomes our lifeline. Their approval becomes our identity. Instead of loving them, we use them as a mirror to prove that we matter. But when we carry love for ourselves, everything shifts. We no longer demand another person to complete us. We no longer fear their absence as if it means the end of our worth. Instead, we approach love as a gift, something freely given, not desperately taken. Self-love is also forgiveness. Forgiving the younger self who made mistakes. Forgiving the heart that once clung too tightly. Forgiving the moments we did not yet know better. And it is also discipline. The courage to walk away from what harms us. The strength to wait for what honors us. The wisdom to know that solitude is not emptiness, but the soil from which true connection can grow. To love yourself is to whisper, "I am worthy of love," even before it arrives. And when it does, I will meet it with a heart already full. Every great love carries within it the risk of loss. To open the heart is to make it breakable. And at some point, for nearly all of us, it does. Heartbreak is not just sadness. It is disorientation. The world that once felt whole now feels unfamiliar. The laughter that once came easily now echoes hollow. Even the body remembers. The heavy chest, the restless nights, the ache that no medicine seems to soothe. Psychologists call it grief. But for those who have lived it, heartbreak feels closer to death. Not the death of the body, but of a future that will never come. Yet, as unbearable as it feels, heartbreak is also one of life's greatest teachers. It strips us of illusions. It forces us to see what was real and what was wishful thinking. It reveals how deeply we can feel, how much we can endure, and how strong we can become in the face of loss. In time, something unexpected happens. The heart, though scarred, does not stay shattered. Slowly, it begins to mend. Like cracks filled with gold in the Japanese art of kintsugi, our brokenness becomes part of our beauty. We learn that to be human is not to avoid pain, but to carry it and still move forward. Renewal does not mean forgetting. It does not mean erasing the love that was once there. It means weaving the memory into who we are becoming. It means allowing the loss to carve space for deeper wisdom, greater compassion, and a wider capacity to love again. So when heartbreak arrives, let us not fear it. Let us bow to it. Let us honor it as the silent proof that we dared to love at all. And let us remember, what ends is not love itself, but one chapter of it. Love, in its infinite forms, will return again. In a world that moves quickly, love asks us to slow down. We live in an age of instant connection, messages sent in seconds, desires fulfilled with a click. And yet, the deepest love refuses to be rushed. It blooms in its own time, like a flower that opens only with the right season, the right light, the right care. Impatience often leads us astray. We chase the spark before it becomes a flame. We cling to someone before trust has grown roots. We demand answers before the heart is ready to speak. But patience in love is not waiting idly. It is an act of trust. It is tending to our own growth, so when love does arrive, we meet it as whole beings, not half-formed souls. The philosopher Rilke once wrote, "Love is, at first, not giving in, but a task for one to work on." To him, patience was part of love's discipline, the willingness to let it unfold without forcing its shape. Sometimes, patience means holding space for someone else's wounds to heal. Sometimes, it means giving ourselves time to become ready. And sometimes, it means walking alone, trusting that solitude is not emptiness, but preparation.